Well, first of all, I'd like to thank both Victor and Mario and Dr. Singer for the opportunity to share briefly and try to echo what Mario just spoke about in terms of the potential. But not only that, Mexico, we wouldn't call it Malbec syndrome, but perhaps tequila or mezcal. We're very proud of our production, our quality. And I actually brought some tequila, very good from Mexico, which I'll be happy to share with you at the right moment. But I like Mario's analogies a lot because I do think that they represent, as he mentioned, that Mexico is a country of 135 million people. And not only that, the ancestry of Mexicans, we usually generalize it under a term called mestizo, which it just describes what happens when the Spanish originally came to Mexico in the 1500s, and there was a mixing of whatever was going on back then. But what's happening in those half millennia afterwards is that there's been a huge influx of European descent, especially in northern Mexico. And Dr. Singer and Victor they are probably closer to northern Mexico than what I am. And particularly where I am in Guadalajara, there's a huge population isolated that is called Altos de Jalisco, which it doesn't really matter. It just means that there's a lot of French ancestry, and I particularly see a lot of patients which have textbook macular degeneration, as much as we have other types of neovascularizations from the indigenous people of Mexico. So the patients are there, and we're very familiar with these opportunities that we have in particular populations, as well as IRD. These populations, like Mario explained very well, exist there, and I think they're even underserved in these particular opportunities that they have access to these treatments in the setting of clinical trials. The other thing that we want to mention is something that I've been learning for 20 years. I was thinking about when I met Mario and Victor when I was training under Hans and Virgilio and Hugo. And 20 years ago, we've been able to create these alliances, both within Latin America, but afterwards doing some work in the US as a research fellow. I think the network of friendships and I don't think we really have to convince the CROs and the sponsors about the seriousness and the quality of Mexican surgeons, clinicians, and also the practices. I practice only privately, and we've been able to adapt and grow within the sphere of clinical trials. So our staff that is only dedicated to the trials, both coordinators and all the optometrists that works only towards that. My practice is relatively small compared to some of these very big practices in the US, but they are very well versed in all the proceduring and all the regulations and so on. We've been able to grow and gain some confidence from the CROs and the sponsors. And we can offer not only strategies for retina, but we also work with glaucoma, dry eye, and so on. So this is just a brief slide that shows the experience of our group, but I think this is really underestimating our capability. So we have a very good capability of screening based on our physicians and our technicians. Most of the private clinics are equipped with the necessary imaging and the necessary technical capabilities to start screening patients as soon as we're approved. And this just really rounds off what's going on. So it's in the 1990s when we started treating retina, medical retina became a real area of interest with laser and so on, to the possibility of now doing gene therapy through the presence of clinics that are well equipped, surgeons that are able to do the procedures and all the imaging that is necessary. So I think that we're already set up to start working ASAP in terms of the technical and the regulatory part, which Hans will speak more about in the future. So just to finish off, I won't speak about IRD because we must recognize that it's an area of opportunity for us in Mexico, but definitely the patients are there. There's a very solid group of Mexican retina specialists who are specifically working on this. as well as the other diseases that we treat and that there are so many trials available for nowadays. So as Mario mentioned, and I think that we will all echo, is that as a group from Latin America, we can, I mean, Dr. Singer just explained it perfectly. I think that as a group, both within Mexico and as a group as of Latin America, we will be very strong. And as I mentioned, the clinical teams already exist. The operational backbone is already familiar to us. There is definitely some regulatory friction in Mexico that I'm happy to see that in Argentina is the opposite. And also the opportunity for us, the people from Mexico that are here and our colleagues, that I must say that we are also within a group that works very seriously. And I understand that sometimes they look at Mexico as a place where we may or may not find a real commitment to the nitty-gritty parts of clinical trials, but I can tell you that it exists and it's very solid. So just to end my very brief presentation, I think this is something that you should really consider. And speaking towards the CROs, I think it's very, very valuable that there's a CRO, and then there may be more CROs that are specific to retina and eye disease. I was just commenting to Hans that we get interviewed and we see a lot of CRO representatives, and many of them have no idea even how to interview ophthalmologists because they're not familiar with any of the procedures, with any of the imaging, and sadly with any of the diseases. So that limits us a lot, because how can it be possible that we have to teach the CRO representative what are they talking about? They don't even pronounce sometimes the diseases correctly. And so it seems like a waste of time, when for us it's an opportunity to generate revenue for our practices, as well as offer these treatments to patients. So that's the last comment I was going to make, and I thank you so much. Looking forward to speak personally to all of you. And if you want tequila or Malbec, please let me know tonight. Thank you so much.